There's some things that we do after a breakup that feel really intuitive to do. We feel hurt, we feel burnt, we feel betrayed, we feel really bad because we're coming off that. We're coming off the drug, the hormones that our body was producing, that oxytocin, and it is painful to have withdrawal. And because we're in withdrawal, we can enter a place where we can feel like we're not in our right mind, okay? And there's some things that we absolutely need to understand about breakups, about life, okay, that will help us not do these things. Because number one reason these things are bad is because they put the last nail on the coffin of that relationship. So if you should ever want it back, it's going to take longer to create the space and to kind of create the dynamic where there can be a comeback. Number two, it's a higher climb if you want them back. But number two, if you don't handle the breakup well, your ability to heal from it, bounce back and be resilient is going to be even harder. Okay, so what we want to do is create a way that you can enter into the place of healing way quicker, restore yourself way quicker, and do less damage. Because breakups, if we don't break up well, we can actually break our psychology. We can create belief systems about ourselves, about relationships, about love, that then become stumbling blocks, that become energetic blocks to you finding love or recreating love with the same person that you've lost. Now, by and large, I'm not really one for going back to the ex, but I have been helping thousands of women over a decade to find love and to repel emotionally unavailable men. And in the thousands of women that I have helped, I can tell you this for free. Some men are worth saying goodbye to, good riddance to bad rubbish, take the trash out. Some men are that way. But some of us had great guys, but we didn't know how to handle the dynamics because we weren't in our feminine, or we didn't really know how to handle, the masculine, or we had trauma that was getting in the way, a perception that was getting in the way, a block from the last relationship that was getting in the way. And so we lose this person. So I don't have a blanket sweep, never, ever, ever go back to the ex. I want to have that conversation with you and really see if I can see if something, or my coaches can see if there's something in the dynamic that went off, or whether you're just better off. However, whether you were just better off or, there's something that you can fix. These 4 things are so important in any breakup for any reason, okay? The number one worst mistake that you can make, and I would like to think it's obvious, is to beg or negotiate for him to stay. Now, that doesn't always look like getting on your knees. It doesn't always look like, oh, I beg you, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. We're good together. That's on the very extreme, very kind of pathetic, end of the relationship. This is where you have zero self-worth, zero self-esteem. You are just my little broken, shattered little pieces of a woman, and we need to do some really deep work. Okay, so I recognize that there are women like that who might be watching, and I'm not making fun of you, and I'm just letting you know that if a man says he wants to break up or behaves as though he wants to break up, and you are begging, chasing, doing all kind of crazy things to stop it from happening, then we have an anxious attachment. Then we have issues with our self-worth, our self-esteem, and we need to build those up because they are the reason it probably ended. Okay, they were manifesting in different ways in the relationship, and that's probably why it ended. Okay, so that's on the far extreme. Then we've got the other extreme, which is I don't care, block, delete, and move on, and that's our miss avoidant. And again, girl, you have mastered the art of not feeling your feelings, and this is problematic. When a person tells us they no longer want to be with us, I want to just reverse back to some things that we all need to remember. I've done this in the breakup clinic right now on school. I have my Heal, Recover, and Find Love Again. And the first thing you will do is a challenge, and you will go through those modules or those workbooks. Fantastic. Get yourself there. The link is in the description below. All right. So join us. It's amazing. Girls are joining. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. Don't miss out on it. In the breakup clinic, what I really emphasize is the fact that whether you're going through a breakup right now, or just watching this because it's entertaining, or watching this because you've been through a breakup, or watching this because you're so happy and you don't want to create a breakup, wherever you are in the relationship spectrum, if you're ever going to succeed in relationships, ever, you have to accept that breakups are part of the process. That breaking up is a natural part of the process, that breaking up is the natural evolution of life, and that a breakup can become a vehicle to the better version of yourself, the stronger version of yourself, and to the man that is way more aligned, or a way to reconnect your partner in a way that is healthier, or liberation and freedom. But whatever the case is, breakups are a part of reality. Why? Why must we accept this? Because every human being has the sovereign right to change their minds. Once you can wrap your head around the idea that every single human, even if you're married and watching this, your husband has every right to change his mind. The consequences of changing his mind might be a little bit hard. It might mean he will lose a few things. The consequences change, but the right to change our minds never changes. The consequence of a boyfriend changing, the consequences of you changing your mind. For all of us, there are consequences when we change our minds, when we walk away from a commitment. There are consequences. I'm divorced, and I have faced a lot of consequences. Whether I was the right party, the wrong party, that doesn't matter. Whenever we walk away from a commitment, we all have consequences to pay. However, it doesn't negate our right. It does not negate our right to walk away, our right to change our minds. That's what makes us humans. We're not trees. We're not planted. We have a right. And if you enter relationships with a knowing that this person has every right to change their mind, as I do, I promise you it is going to elevate the quality of your relationships, because you're going to understand that they're there because they want to, because they choose to, not because they are somehow held bound to being with you. When you believe that people are somehow bound by a ring or by the fact that they've been introduced to family, what we do is we stop showing up with the effort and investment that relationships naturally need to succeed. It's like having a car. Now that you bought it doesn't mean that it doesn't need an oil change. Doesn't mean that it doesn't need fuel. It doesn't mean that it doesn't, if it's an electric car, it doesn't mean that it doesn't need cleaning. It doesn't mean that that car now requires less effort and investment. The fact that you made a huge investment, which is that commitment, and took this car home means that you are committing to investing perpetually over the span of time. Because if you don't keep investing over a span of time, if you just extract from that relationship because I bought it, because he said I'm his girlfriend, he said I'm his wife, so I now have the right to continually extract without maintaining this relationship, which is the mindset that brings about a breakup. If we are aware that no, he has a right to change his mind, he has a right to have his needs met as much as I do. And if when I stop meeting that need, for whatever reason, I might not want to meet that need anymore. There are many things that come up in relationships where maybe he wants to bring in a third party because he has a need for more variety. And you're like, no, I'm not on it. I'm not prepared to meet that need. Then he has a right to change his mind about being with you because that need has not been met. And we should make that okay, because that is what is negotiating with love, okay? If you're going to be a loving partner and receive love, you have to give people the right to be who they are, to choose what they're going to choose. And breakups is the ultimate ask. When we break up, that is the ultimate ask. We're asking of another person, can you accept my right to not want to be here anymore for whatever reason? Once we accept that, then we're not going to beg. Okay, now begging has different forms. Begging sometimes is please don't do it, the whole drama. Begging sometimes is picking up the phone, calling his friends and family, telling them what happened in the relationship, trying to guilt trip him into coming back, trying to get their support for him to come back. This is a no. Understand that they are his support system, and how you are behaving is only validating to them that you are not the right person. I had a client once who they broke up, and she went round to all his family, cousins, friends, everyone. This is what happened. We've broken up, and this is what happened. This is what he did to me, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that is the worst thing you can do, is try to garner support from his people. It's the same thing. It's begging. Going around telling people about how the dynamic broke down shows him subconsciously that you cannot be trusted with the sacredness of a relationship. It shows him that you will humiliate him, you will expose him to meet your needs. It shows him that you are desperate. It shows him that you don't actually love him. You love the idea of the relationship. You love the idea of the connection. And if he's a self-respecting man, if he's a man of self-respect, the chances of you getting that man back into your life are going to be slim to none. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. And in the case of my client, because she had me and she had the team, she was able to reunite with her partner. However, it was a very long process. It took about 8 months for her to get back because he was a really quality guy. But she made the big mistake, and we had to really do some inner work with her so that her energy would change and that he would, the good thing with her, she had been a good partner in every other way. And now they're rekindling their love and they're starting from scratch. And I love that they're both committed to take the coaching journey together and work on it. So I'm really positive about that. But she went around and did too much. Now, had she not done all of that, had she just accepted, this is what it is, and this is how I feel about it, and I need to go and work through my feelings, sit in my feelings, work through my feelings, he would have come back a lot sooner. He would have come back within a month or two, 2 months, 3 months maximum. He would have come back because they had something beautiful. Second thing you do not want to do is I want to find the word, but I'm just going to explain it. We don't go out there and start being sexy with everybody. Some of the mistakes that we make, ladies, is that we go out there and what we want to do is replace them, distract ourselves from the pain. We start posting thirst traps. We start posting, look at me having fun with my friend. Look at me on a holiday in the Bahamas, just letting you know that I'm over you. It's only distractive. We're never going to heal our hearts when we distract ourselves. Am I saying don't go on holiday? Go on holiday. If you want to go do something fun to shake the energy off you, go do it. But don't go posting. Don't go putting it in his face that I don't need you. Why? Because it's a lie. And when we lie to ourselves, we lose trust with ourselves. We lose integrity with ourselves. And when you start losing trust and integrity with yourself, you will never trust yourself to love again. You will never trust yourself to choose again. You will never trust yourself to heal through any disappointment. And then you become somebody who is insular. You find it hard to connect. You now have these blocks. Building trust with ourselves doesn't happen when times are good. Building trust with ourselves happens when life sucks, when we're going through pain. How do we handle it? Do we sit with ourselves and say, look, I trust you, Chengi, to fight through this, to come to a place of peace through this, and I trust you to do it in a way where you respect yourself, have dignity in yourself, and don't signal to him that it's all about you. And I've seen this so many times. Girls change their status, right? Oh, these men, blah, blah, blah. Or they do little videos. So I had a male client who was dating this girl, and he really went out of his way and did a lot for this girl. And, she had a lot of trauma. I said to him, look, this girl, she's got some sexual trauma. And if you want to stick around, it's going to be a lot. She was very sweet in every other way, but I could tell that she had quite severe sexual trauma and that he was going to have a hard time with it because he was going to internalize it as rejection. So anyway, he decides to pursue it, and this thing flares up, and eventually he realizes that I was right. Okay. So she goes online, he ends it, and she goes online, she goes on a TikTok, and she makes a video. These men are like this, these men are like this, the men are like this, the men are like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why do we do this? Okay. Now he sends me the video, and he's like, look at this. She was talking about all the men that had done her dirty, but she didn't mention the guy that drove 2 hours, him, to pick her up from the station, put her in a hotel and make sure she was safe when she was stranded. She forgot to mention the beautiful treatment she had got, the place she had gone to, the way he had loved her, served her. She didn't want to mention that. And he said to me, this is why as men we start to feel jaded, because we could be that great guy in a woman's life and she will never acknowledge it. She will never ever acknowledge it. This is the Black Swan way, girls. We are very, very elite women. We are a cut above the rest. We don't behave like everybody else. Not because it's about being different, but we just have a superior way of thinking. Okay. And the highest level of thinking is to be, can you be gracious? Not only with him, but with yourself. Can you be gracious? Because there's nothing worse than a man saying, look, I don't want to be here anymore. And you saying, I understand. Thank you for letting me know. And vulnerable. It's really painful for me to hear, but I have to accept that you have every right to choose and change your mind. And, I wish you all the best, and let him go. Now, if he's a good man, he wants to talk through it, by all means, talk through it, say what you got to say. But if he's not trying to talk through it, or even if he is not pursuing you anymore and he just pulls right back, because you can be dumped while still in a relationship and you know it. If he's pulling back and not showing up anymore, and you know in your heart, he never said the words to me, but we're not together anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Let him go and start to heal yourself and be gracious. Don't give him side eye, because there's nothing that will make a man regret losing you more than how you handle a breakup. I'm going to tell you something for free. Sometimes how you actually handle that information, that actual breakup, can determine if it turns into a new relationship with the person, or it can be the game changer. I always tell the story that when I was getting divorced, I asked my ex if I could just have some space, if I could separate. I had zero desire to get divorced at that point. I just wanted some space to think because it had been so difficult and so tumultuous, and I was just really able at that time to master the wherewithal to ask for space and say, I just need a break. And this is after 13 years. Because he refused to give me the space. He refused to do it because it's natural, instinctive. No, no, no. I ended up actually leaving because it was the only way I could breathe. And once I left on the terms that I left on, there was no going back for me. And I always tell this to anyone who will listen. Talking to family or friends, I'm like, if you had just agreed to that separation, we'd probably be still together. Because I needed to know that I could walk away. I needed to know that there was freedom. I needed to know that I would be respected. They were in that agreement, in that moment. I just needed to know something. But you know what men do? What we all do is refuse to be dumped and then act different. And that acting different only convinces that person that you had it in you to give it to me all this time, but you chose not to until I was ready to walk away. And that hurts more than saying, look, it's okay. If you need that space, if you need that time, you go take it. If you need to walk away from me because for some reason that you were able to tell me or not tell me, that's what you need to do, then I'm going to honor and respect that. Okay, so that's super, super important. The other worst thing to do after a breakup, and this is really for you, go eat that ice cream, go cry about it. Well done. Unraveling, dealing with the ugly is ugly, okay? But don't harm yourself to get over it. This is the time to really nurture yourself because number one, you are losing a connection. You are an addict in many ways, trying to come off a substance. What you need to do is take care of you. You need to eat well. You need to move your body. You need to take care of yourself. Don't make the mistake of spiraling and forgetting that your body is in fact your subconscious mind. That to heal it, you're going to have to heal it somatically. You're going to have to heal it within the body. And the more you pump your body with all of the sugar and all of the stuff that hurts it, the harder it's going to be for you to get over it because it's not a matter of the mind, it's a matter of the heart. And if you watch the video before this one, you will know what I'm talking about. So don't make the mistake of neglecting yourself, your well-being, your upkeep. Don't make that mistake. You got 7 days. I tell my clients, you have 7 days to grieve. You have 7 days to ugly cry. You have 7 days to weep and mourn about it. Especially if it was a short relationship or a situationship, you get 7 days. If it was a divorce and everything else, you get a year. If it was a long relationship, you have a year to really grieve and work through and get your head around a lot of things. But 7 days is all you get. After 7 days, we need to get up. We need to go to the gym. We need to start eating. If we need to start loving on ourselves, because that's the only way that your body can begin, your nervous system can begin to feel safe again. Because what you lose is that sense of safety, and we need to get that back. The other worst thing to do, the fourth worst thing to do, is to remember incorrectly. When we have a breakup, okay, what we do is remember the good times. This is not your fault. It's the way the brain is wired to remember because it wants you to reconnect, reattach, because relationships to the biology of the human being are about procreation. The number one mandate, multiply, increase, right? So biology is trying to give you the best possible chance of getting pregnant and having babies. That's what's going on at a biological level, which affects the psychological. What's going to happen is that your mind is going to start pumping beautiful memories, wonderful memories, the great times, the laughter, the moments of intimacy and closeness where you felt safe and felt happy and felt like your heart was safe in his hands. That's what the mind's going to do. Why? Because it's trying to trick you to go back to the last place where you felt, where you were with a partner so you can have babies. Okay. So it's really important after a breakup that you start to remember correctly, that you start to really look at the facts. Okay. You really start to think about the truth of this relationship, because chances are you were not happy. You were just so attached and so afraid of losing the attachment that you allowed a lot of pain into your relationship, that you tolerated a lot of pain. And we got to get on it. Don't make the mistake of getting carried away in the fantasy, the romance, the trick your brain is playing on you. Okay, it's a trick. You're being played by your brain. Let's look at the real stuff. Let's look at, I had a client who was dating this gorgeous man. For her, he was the most attractive man she had ever met in her whole life. And that made her feel valuable. That made her feel seen. That made her feel known, okay? She just so attached to this man that she didn't realize that he was using her money. He would ignore her. He would ration out intimacy. And finally, he invited her to go away on holiday and did not provide a single thing and made her pay. And the whole thing was so toxic, but she was so connected to what he represented. Finally, I'm that girl that gorgeous men choose. I'm that girl who gets to walk into the room with this tall, dark, and handsome man. I am that girl. She was so hooked on that because she had her own childhood wounds. She had a history of growing up always being the one everybody pitied because her parents were divorced and everybody pitied her. And for the first time, she could see admiration and adoration in people's eyes. She could see jealousy in people's eyes. And it gave her this value, this place where she was thirsting, something her career was not able to give her, something even her own beauty was not able to give her. Finally, she walked into a room and people looked at her with envy and it gave her that thing. And so she just kept ruminating over that. And so we had to break it down and say, okay, that might be true and that's valid, okay? But let's rehearse the truth. Let's rehearse that if you two were going to make love, it was on his terms when he was ready, if he wanted to. Let's rehearse the reality that if you were going to go anywhere, dates, you had to pay. You had to come out of pocket. Let's rehearse that the wonderful holiday he was supposed to take you on, you paid for it and he did not put anything to it. Let's rehearse that whenever you were in a disagreement, he would be so incredibly cruel to you. Can we rehearse that? And whenever your brain wants to start talking about the beautiful moments in the pool and those times that you made love and it was so magical, can we focus on the truth? Let's go for the whole enchilada. Let's look at the whole story. Let's paint a real picture. That is a massive mistake. Once you allow yourself to ruminate over the good times, you are lying to yourself and you're keeping yourself stuck in a relationship. So the first 2 points, if you want it back, pay attention to those 2 points. For the other 2 points, don't make those mistakes. Those are worse mistakes. Do all 4. And not only are you positioned to reignite love sooner rather than later with that person or somebody new, okay? Not only is that possible for you, but what is really possible is your ability to reclaim your power, to reclaim your magic, to come back to your senses, to feel great again, to be open and available to love again. What I've just told you, if you can avoid these 4 things, if you can avoid doing these 4 things, engaging in these 4 things, I promise you, you are totally going to come back and tell me how much your life has changed. Breakups are a minefield. They're not easy. But if we can avoid these mistakes that we all commonly make, honestly, you're going to find yourself in a way better position, feeling like the fog has left, feeling like you're in the clear. And I look forward to seeing you either in the House of Swans, where you can take advantage of the 7-day free trial, or back on this channel or any of my channels where you can tell me, wow, that saved my life. So for those of you who may end up in a divorce or breakup, or for those of you who are happily in love, or those of you who are going through this pain right now, I hope that this video was helpful. I'll see you in my next one. In the meantime, do take care of you. Love you lots. Bye. Hey, beautiful. Thanks for watching. If you are looking to attract or deepen the kind of love that feels safe and lasting, click the first link in the description. It's a 30-day challenge to reset your love life.